Welcome guys back to another video on the channel. We are doing Premier League predictions, match week 3 now of the Premier League. Just before we get into today's predictions, you guys can check out this week's FPL top of the league, and wherever you are in the league, if you have joined, if you haven't joined, please click the link in the description box below. That will take you to the joining page to join my fantasy Premier League. We've got around 40 odd people, so yeah, keep it going, and these are the winners for this week. So let's get straight into the first game, which is Brighton versus Manchester United. Brighton are playing Manchester United at the Amex Stadium. Manchester United obviously very funnily losing their last game to Crystal Palace. How much fun was that? In that game, Crystal Palace versus Manchester United, Andros Townsend scored early for Crystal Palace in the 7th minute, giving them an early lead, and then Mason Greenwood came on notably for Manchester United at halftime, not starting the game. Wilfried Zaha then made it 2-0. Donny van de Beek then got a goal back for Manchester United. Wilfried Zaha made it 3-1. Wilfried Zaha really ran the show at Old Trafford there, and it was a very disappointing defeat there for Manchester United, not doing very well at all. Quickly touching on Brighton's game, and they had a really good outing in their game, as Neo Mope scored 2 goals and Aaron Connolly got on the score sheet despite a Yves Bissouma red card in the 89th minute. Not great ending there for Brighton, but again a good 3-0 win for them over a Newcastle team who looked very rejuvenated over the last week or so, especially in the transfer market, and their win in the Premier League last weekend. So I think this will be a very I don't know if it's going to be a tight game, because Manchester United, they have a lot of quality in their squad, and I thought Roy Hodgson, he used his experience, he knew what he knows about Manchester United. They're not the fittest at the moment, they've only just got most of their squad back, and obviously they're in European commitment, and so many players playing nationals as well. It's been a very tough time for them off and on the field, and obviously they've not done much transfer business, and I think hopefully for them, not for me, but obviously for the Manchester United fans, you know, maybe the loss of the weekend may spark some transfer activity for them. But again, in this Brighton game, I do expect it to be a tight battle. I really do rate Graham Potter. I think he'll know what he saw in that game against Crystal Palace, Manchester United, and he'll use that to his effect, and hopefully Brighton can pull off something here. But again, I do think Manchester United will win this one. They are the much better team, and I will give them a 2-1 win in this one. Next game in the Premier League is Crystal Palace versus Everton. Again, another very interesting game, as both of these teams actually won their last games. Obviously, as we've already said, Crystal Palace, they won 3-1 against Manchester United. Wilfried Zaha doing very well. You know, this is the Wilfried Zaha Arsenal wanted to sign last summer, because the thing is, Wilfried Zaha, when he plays like that, he can literally boss any team in the world. He's that good, Wilfried Zaha. But the thing is, the reason he's playing for Crystal Palace is he only does that 1 out of 10-11 games. He doesn't do it week in, week out, and that is one of the reasons Zaha hasn't got his big money move. And looking at Everton's last result, they had a 5-2 win, a very good rejuvenated Everton side. Grady Diangana scoring a very good goal for West Brom. West Ham fans will be crying their souls out. Matheus Pereira getting an assist but later on, closing to the second half, Dominic Calvert-Lewin got a goal in the 31st minute to level the game before James Rodriguez scored in the 45th minute, and then Michael Keane, after that Matheus Pereira did make it 2-2 for West Brom, but after that it was all Everton, as Michael Keane, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, and he scores again to make it 5-2 for West Brom. A very good win for Everton, and they look like a very, very good side. James Rodriguez looks like an incredible piece of business. It looks like they got him for free as well, so I don't know how they managed to pull that off, but it looks like the Carlo Ancelotti effect is actually finding to get to grips at Goodison Park. Obviously a very disappointing season last season, and I think Everton will be looking to build on that. I do think they will win this game, because I think Crystal Palace, they're a team, they're not very consistent, so I do think Everton will turn up in this game. And then midfield, as I said, they have done so well in the transfer market, signing very experienced players who have shown already in the Premier League against Tottenham, against West Brom, that they will do it. They just need to keep this going with their consistency, and they could have a very good Premier League season. So in this game against Crystal Palace, I'm going to give them a 3-1 win in this one. The next game is fairly straightforward one, and this is West Brom versus Chelsea. Now, as I just said, West Brom did have a very bitter defeat against Everton, because they were drawing 2-2, they were playing some decent football, and then Everton's quality, they just ran away with it. As I just discussed before, their team just has a lot of quality at the moment, and they are going past every team they come against. Like Tottenham last weekend, they dominated that game, and they did so against West Brom, and West Brom, they don't look in the greatest shape, do they? Obviously losing from a 3-goal differential against Leicester, now a 3-goal differential against West Brom. So I think West Brom do need to sign some defenders, and if it's going to be this easy for Chelsea with their attacking threat, I can expect the likes of Kai Havertz to get on the score sheet, this could be very, very grim for West Brom. Kai Havertz, he hasn't really got started at Chelsea. I think Werner over the last two games looks like a very good player, you know, looks very pacey. But I think again, you need, you know, Chelsea, they've got a lot of players out injured, the new players they signed. So I think once they start gelling together, they will look like a very good outfit and a very unstoppable team. But at the moment, I do think they'll easily go past West Brom. Leicester put 3 past them, and Everton put 5 past them. So I expect this to be a 4-0 win for Chelsea, and that is what I'm going to go for. Next game is Burnley versus Southampton. Now looking at Southampton's last game, for example, it was Tottenham versus, they were playing Tottenham and they actually lost 5-2, same score as the Everton West Brom. And again, it looked very grim for Southampton. Defensively, they looked very poor. Danny Ings actually opened the scoring for Southampton before Harry Kane, Son Heung-min with 4 goals, and very, very good. And Harry Kane adding 5 before Danny Ings in the last minutes of the game adding a second consolation goal for Southampton to make it 5-2, just to make it less bad for them. But again, it was a very good win for Tottenham. Obviously, they lost the game against we'll talk about Tottenham a bit actually. We'll look at Southampton. Defensively, they look very poor. I think going forward, again, they look like a very good team. They're not missing Højbjerg too much. They're still managing to score goals. Still 2 goals against Tottenham is quite good. You know, we are trying to look at the positives here and looking at a Burnley side that again didn't do too bad, but again got blitzed by a very good quality Leicester City side, who we'll go on to in a bit. Christopher Wood opening the scoring before Harvey Barnes, Eric Peters' own goal, and James Justin make it 3-1. By this time, the game is over for Burnley. Jimmy Dunn gets a consolation before Dennis Pratt adds 4 for Leicester City. So yeah, for Burnley, again, not defensively looking very great, and I think this will be a game in which lots of goals go in. But I do think with Southampton, with their attacking threat being that good, I think they will edge out this game, which is why I'm going to give them a 3-2 win in this one. Next one is a very exciting game, and it is Sheffield United versus Leeds United. Again, this could be a very interesting game in the Premier League, and looking at Leeds' last game, it was another 4-3 result for Leeds, but this time going their way. As in their game, let's have a quick look. Helder Costa opened the scoring for them before Alexander Mitrovic levelled it for Fulham, but then Bamford, Helder Costa scored for Leeds to make it 4-1 before Bobby Reed and Alexander Mitrovic had a quick fight back for Fulham, but it wasn't enough as Leeds did run out winners in their game. Looking at Sheffield United's last game, they actually lost 1-0 to Aston Villa. They did have a penalty actually. John Egan got a red card. It didn't help early on for Sheffield United, but Emi Martinez did so well to save their penalty, so they got unlucky in that respect. But Ezri Konsa did get a 1-0 win to settle Sheffield United's defeat. They don't look as good defensively as they did last season, so I think that will play a good part into Leeds getting a good win here, because going forward, you know, with the attacking threat they have with Bamford, Rodrigo, etc., they look like a very good team. So I do fully expect Leeds to win this one, which is why I'm going to give them a 4-1 win in this one. Next game in the Premier League is Tottenham versus Newcastle. We're going to go straight on to Tottenham first of all. As I was talking about before, they looked, last week they lost to Everton in a very poor game in which they had no attacking threat. It looks like Jose Mourinho tweaked a few things, and they really came to light in this game, didn't they? Son Heung-min, which way you want to say it, scored 4 goals for Tottenham, and if you captained him in the FPL, you had a very good day, didn't you? And it was a very good result for Tottenham Hotspur, and Harry Kane actually getting 4 assists as well. So attackingly, they looked very good and at their best, and I think that is what you expect from a Tottenham Hotspur side. So I fully expect them going into this game with a lot of confidence. Newcastle on the other hand, not very much so. A good transfer window, but that didn't reflect into this game as Neo Mope got 2 past them, as well as Aaron Connolly, as we said earlier. Going forward, again, Callum Wilson, he does provide a lot of strength for them going forward, but again, they just need to try and gel, and I think that will take a few games for them, even though they did well on match day 1. But I think this will be an opportunity for Newcastle to get some points against the Tottenham Hotspur side. They've done well in previous years, but I do think Tottenham will win this one. I think it won't be an easy one for Tottenham to win, so I'm going to give them a 1-0 win in this one. One of the biggest games in the match day, and this is Manchester City versus Leicester City. And again, this is a very interesting game in which you never know what's going to happen. Man City, obviously, in their last game, winning 3-1 against Wolves, sort of convincingly. It was a half-half performance there from Manchester City. Kevin De Bruyne and Phil Foden opened the scoring very early on, and in the 78th minute, it took Raul Jimenez to get consolation before Gabriel Jesus in the 90+5 minute added a winning goal for Manchester City to seal them a very comfortable win in the end, I guess, for Manchester City. Leicester City, on the other hand, again, struggled early on in the game, but really built into it. And when they did build into to it. They didn't look like stopping. Christopher Wood, as I said, opened the scoring, shock early lead for Burnley, but then Barnes, Eric Peters' own goal, James Justin, Dennis Praet did score for Leicester City in a very good resounding win for them. Now again, in this game, look, people will say, some may say Leicester City, might shock Manchester City. I really do think there is a chance of that, but again, Man City have so much quality, and I think Leicester City centre-backs, sometimes they do get quite exposed. I think Sinucci needs a very experienced head next to him. Again, I just think they need someone there, like a Jonathan Tah, not a Wesley Fofana for me. I think they need someone like Tah in that position, but again, I do think Manchester City will win this one quite comfortably, which is why I'm going to give them a 3-0 win in this one. Next game promises to be quite a good one, and it is West Ham versus Wolves. Firstly, looking out to West Ham, it was a 2-1 loss against Arsenal, but West Ham looked the better team. They played brilliant in that game. If you haven't seen my match reaction to that, check that out in my channel, but I thought West Ham played the much better team. Alexandre Lacazette opened the scoring for Arsenal before Mikel Antonio on the stroke of half-time levelled it up, and then Eddie Nketiah in the 85-minute struck a late blow to West Ham fans' hearts as Dani Ceballos passed it over to Nketiah very ironically, and it did set up the winning goal for Arsenal. I thought West Ham looked very good in that game, and it could really pose a good challenge for Wolverhampton Wanderers, who again didn't play all too bad against Manchester City, but again, quality prevails, doesn't it? And Wolves adding the likes of Nelson Semedo to their team, and they've already got such a good front line with likes of Jimenez, Podence, Neto, Fabio Silva, very good team, and I think Wolves got nothing to fear about. They're a very good outfit, and I think they will win this game against West Ham because of their quality. I think West Ham will pose quite a good fight, which is why I'm going to give Wolves a 2-1 win in this. Next game going into the Monday night is Fulham versus Aston Villa. Fulham obviously lost 4-3 to Leeds United, as I said before. Not great for them, but again, Fulham looked very weak defensively, shipping 4 against Leeds and 3 against Arsenal. Very comfortable for both sides to score against them. They really need to add some defenders. And looking at Aston Villa in the last game, they did have quite a good win against Sheffield United. Obviously, Emi Martinez making his debut for them. Quite resounding there from Aston Villa, were in control of the game for most of it. But again, it is going to be very tight with Fulham and Aston Villa. But I think Aston Villa, with their quality, I think they will edge it out, and I think they will win this one 1-0. Moving on to the last game of the match day, and I'm not going to talk about this too much because obviously, as an Arsenal fan, I'm going to do a preview on this. So again, it's going to be a very hard game going to Anfield. Liverpool versus Arsenal, that's the one I'm talking about. Again, very difficult, very difficult. I think if we can park the bus, play it out to Aubameyang and score a goal, nick it 1-0 in the last minute, I think that's what we're going to try and do once again. Hopefully Liverpool don't suss us out, but that is the one, and I think Arsenal will nick this one 1-0 somehow. Hopefully they do. So that is it for today's Premier League predictions. What do you guys think? Leave it in the comment section down below. See you guys in the next one. Bye bye.